Well, it's good to be with you again today for the Reed and Christine Halliday Executive Lecture Series. Today we have with us a kind of a special treat for me, someone I've known for a while. Scott Christopher is co-author of the best-selling book, The Levity Effect, Why It Pays to Lighten Up, and he's also the director of speaking and training at the O.C. Tanner Company. He's appeared on NBC Today Show, Fox Business Channel, CNBC, NPR, the BBC, and has been quoted in the New York Times, Washington Post, Boston Globe, New York Post, Newsweek, Commerce Magazine, and even the Ladies' Home Journal. A contributing author of the bestseller A Carrot a Day, a regular columnist for the Workplace HR magazine, and a consultant on strengthening work culture with recognition and fun, Scott travels the world speaking to leadership groups at conferences and on-site client meetings. He is a highly sought-after speaker at the SHRM National Conventions and has spoken at dozens of state and regional SHRM conferences. With a background in radio, television, and film, Scott's presenting style is upbeat, witty, and unforgettable. And he wrote this himself. In his spare time, Scott is a professional voiceover artist, MC, and actor from the Screen Actors Guild, so he's a union-holding, card-holding member. He appears on network television series Everwood, Touched by an Angel, and the Disney Channel movies. While an undergraduate at Brigham Young University, Scott was honored with the United States' most prestigious acting scholarship, the Irene Ryan Award at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And just on a quick personal note, I've known Scott for some years, and he's done a number of great things with his career, and he's going to share those with you today. I think you're going to enjoy this presentation a great deal, and I suspect you're going to learn a great deal in the process. Please welcome Scott Christopher.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Dr. Dean, Norman, what do I call you?
I think you call me Norm.
Norm, that's Norm. Yeah, call him Norm if any of you get a chance to. He loves that. Thanks very much. Wow, good to see you. Look at all those open laptops. Isn't that exciting? This is, college has really changed. I don't go to college anymore. This is my presentation. This is not a member of my family. If I can get her to play there, we go. Yeah, turn that up a little. I love the rousing. This is a song you just can't get enough of, can you? Really. And let me just tell you, normally I have this playing as people are kind of filing in and getting ready for a training session or whatever. It just kind of keeps them upbeat a little bit and lets them know that, you know, what we're going to talk about is certainly serious business, but it will be presented in a... Now, here, once she drops the pom-poms, all bets are off. This is where it really... This is when Grandma, I think, maybe goes a bit too far. Here it is. This is where little... Yeah, right in this area. Little off-brand for this campus, is all I'm saying. But anyway, so that's her. Okay, so boom, let's get into this. There's me, same jacket. I really, I don't change much. I work at that company, O.C. Tanner. Any of you ever cared? Okay, good, perfect. Also wrote some books, a couple of different books as mentioned, as Norm mentioned there. And then, of course, I used to act, and now my wife acts like she's upset because we have, look how happy she is. She's delighted that I am once again off doing what I do, leaving her with the fellows at home. In fact, we have 5 boys, no daughters. There's an uncomfortable pose, but there they are above the Great Salt Lake, and the oldest one there is of college age, but he's currently mulling over his life decisions. Anyway, and the rest of them are just pleased as punch to be. This one we may have adopted. I'm not sure, but he's kind of a funky. Anyway, so that's me. Yay, that's what I do. I'm a dad, and I love it. It's great. The 5 boys and the actually we had 1 son and 4 not daughters. Was basically how we sort of tell people what we have in our family, because we would have stopped had we had a girl in the mix. That would have been great. A little match set of pretty little. Well, I assume my wife is. Anyway, let's move forward. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about levity today. As I mentioned, the book that I wrote is called The Levity Effect, Why It Pays to Lighten Up. And the reason I wrote this book is because I come from sort of an entertainment background, and I brought a couple of copies, I think, that I'll give away here as well. Well, maybe one, but I've got some other books too. I come from who came from the furthest, by the way, to attend UVU? Nominate yourself if you're, where are you from, sir? China. Okay, China. Can anybody beat China? Yeah. Where? Ethiopia. Wow. You tell me. How long was your flight? I've been to China, and I lost a week of my life getting there. And I don't know about Ethiopia. I think from here to China, maybe further. China? What do you guys think? You're the smarty pants. Who says China? Raise your... Who says Ethiopia? We've got stuff for everyone. This is the furthest flung award. What's your name up there, sir? Beatty? Nice. Arise, Beatty. Let's see if they teach you how to play Frisbee in China, which is where we got this, incidentally. Hand the laptop over to your seatmate there. This is a fairly small venue for my considerable abilities. Norm, didn't we used to do the Frisbee? Absolutely. And I was horrible then. This is a really raked environment, but I'm going to try the reversal of fortunes throw to Beatty there. This is going to be, I have to calculate, the whole angle of the sun, but it's right there. Oh, nice hands, buddy. Wow. Just about killed the person next to you. And for the, where's my Ethiopian? Where are you at? What's your name? Lydia? That's a great name. I have a sister-in-law named Lydia. She lives in that place that's not quite Pleasant Grove. It's not exactly Highland. Cedar Fort. What is it? Cedar Hills. Congratulations. You don't live in Cedar Hills. Okay, good. But I think they got a Walmart now or something. But anyway, I got other stuff to give. We'll give it away as we go, but we must keep moving. Who has a 1 o'clock appointment? Who has a 1 o'clock class? What class do you got? Meteorology. You can skip that. What do you got at 1? Calculus? Yeah, you better go. You don't look like it's coming along real well. What do you have?
I've got environmental lab and sampling.
Environmental lab and sampling. So you're out in fields like testing cow pies, or what do you?
We're going to be at the ponds, or what used to be the ponds.
The ponds.
Spread out on campus.
Are there ponds on campus? You're a tall bloke. What do you go, 6'8", 6'9"?
6'8".
Nice. Do you play the old...
Not as much as I used to.
No, yeah. That's too bad because you could make a lot of money. You can't teach height, right? Jimmer! Boy, that kid, what was that all about? 43 points last night. Did you guys see that? Holy cow. We had to go to a friend's house to watch it because we don't get the channel. Did any of you go? Did you have to wait forever to get tickets, or were you? Through ESPN? Wow, good for you. I haven't seen the building that full since the 80s. We used to go to games there with Durant and Ainge, and it was always packed, and then it kind of went through. This is exciting. It's going to be fun to see them play at San Diego. But don't forget, we got New Mexico. Well, whatever. They have New Mexico this Saturday. And Ronnie Price, get out of here, right? What a beacon and an ambassador for this sports program. Very cool. The dude is a stud. He's like 2 inches shorter than me and can sky. Could I not fly in high school? I had wings, literally. All right, you've had a chance to read that. Most people in business, levity gets kind of a bad rap, generally, because nobody wants, a goofball handling finances or dealing with customer calls, or worse, piloting the company plane. You know what I mean? It's just there's something about the term levity that instills a sense of panic and fear and general impropriety. It's just not suitable or appropriate for the work. Here at Acme Nut and Bolt, where our job is to save the world, we don't want you screwing around and having fun. And the fact of the matter is the reason that I wrote this book and I go out and I talk on it is because I've worked in serious environments before, and I've interviewed people who work in serious industries and environments, heavily regulated and policed. And even they say, despite the regulations and the gravitas of the situation, you've all seen MASH, right? These guys are doctors in the middle of a war. Maybe you haven't. How old are we all again? Yeah, 40-something up in this area, up in this crib. We're going to redefine levity a little bit for you with 3 words. Latitude, attitude, and gratitude. It's cutesy, I know. It rhymes, lovely. It makes a little acronym, LAG, whatever. However you want to remember it, great. But latitude, attitude, and gratitude, those are the 3 things that I will quickly rifle through as we talk about levity in a different sense. Latitude, of course, is what you allow others to do. It's, we've all heard the term, give them a little bit of rope or have some perspective, let your people enjoy life a little bit. Latitude is your tolerance, your allowing, even your enabling and generating perhaps humor, fun, levity, lightness at work, at school, at home, wherever. I mean, levity for life, really. A quick example you can read about in the book if you ever get one. I think there's 3 or 4 left on the planet. But there was a healthcare facility in Kentucky, and they were really having trouble with a lot of their customer service and patient satisfaction metrics and goals. But one of the big ones is food service, because they were in the first percentile nationally. I mean, you literally cannot get any lower. 99% of all the other hospitals in America have more satisfied patients in terms of food service, food quality, the actual serving of the food, the interaction with the food employees, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. Essentially, I have a picture of a cow here, that's what this means. These people would prefer to have their food served to them by a farm animal rather than an actual flesh and bones employee of Audubon. So they said, we got to change that. What do we do? How do we create a better experience? You see, you get in a hospital, and as it gets bigger and bigger, and as more people come, there's sicker, more people you got to cut open and work on. Sometimes the experience of being at the hospital becomes more just a transaction. Come on in, we'll use a Sharpie and mark which leg we're taking off. We'll cut it off for you, we'll sew it up. Here's your bill, thanks for coming, bye-bye. Well, that can't work in healthcare for very long. I mean, people really, food service? If I'm laying in bed with an IV drip and I have very little hope of healing anytime soon, maybe the one time of day that my spirits could be raised, could. It's a Utah thing. Is if you bring me my food, that shouldn't depress me, for heaven's sake. So there's some things to work on. Well, the director of food services, Mike Juleson, he said, we went in and we pretty much you can see him up there holding the book. He said, we subscribed to the whole levity concept. We said, we're just not enjoying our jobs anymore. And he said, so we wanted to make things a little lighter. And these are some of the things he talked about. We wanted to hear more laughter coming out of some of the kitchen areas and the food service areas. We wanted to hear more laughter and jokes and fun, even appropriate practical jokes, whatever it was. We wanted to start recognizing great work, which is really a part of lightening up. Telling people thanks, little pats on the back, celebrating little accomplishments or achievements. He said, I have a very low tolerance for too much seriousness. Think about where you work right now, if you work, or where you have worked. Wouldn't it have been great if your boss had said something like that? Now listen, if you're going to come aboard here, I will not tolerate too much seriousness. Really? I can screw off? Yeah. Yes. Within limits. There's some legally placed limits and things like that, but we're trying to build a certain culture. You can see other kind of standing around, talking, laughing, etc. He said, we made a conscious effort to be positive with everything. We started showing each and every one of them respect, listening to them, thanking them, and we started stressing that we should have more fun at work. I love this one. We got out of the business of serving meals and got into the business of helping heal patients, and that's a lot more fun. That's really our vision and our mission and our dream and our goal and objective, is for people to come out of here healed, but also to come out of here healed as raving fans of Audubon Healthcare, of this clinic or facility. And the way we're going to do that is by switching our culture, by enjoying it more ourselves, that whole pay it forward mentality, right? So they went from the first percentile to the 99th in 6 months. I mean, it was a very dramatic turnaround. It's not always going to be quite that quick, of course, but I like to highlight, set the bar high, and hopefully you'll hit somewhere low. But I love the fact that now certainly you could say, well, did they raise their pay? Or was there a significant, a really sharp turn in their overall personnel strategy or their reward strategy? No. Things essentially remained the same through those 6 months. So quite honestly, when they come back and say, this is the key factor that changed, then it's easy to make a correlation that lightening up that culture was really one of the driving factors. So it pays to lighten up. We get that. My father, Jim, in his retirement years in Florida, any of you ever been to Busch Gardens? Yeah, what is it? What is Busch Gardens? It's an amusement park. See how easy it is to win free junk? I love that, yeah. I'm going to leave the protective plastic coating on for you just in case you're a germ freak. You're not, right? No, like Monk or whatever. Yeah, it's an amusement park. So my dad, he was an insurance agent for years and a mailman and all the big, high-paying jobs. And he decided, now that I'm kind of on a limited income, I'm going to go back and work at this amusement park. And they hire him to be the conductor of the Serengeti Express, which is like a little train that goes around. When you get tired and you just want to look at animals or whatever. And they gave him an 18-page script, and they said, this is the tour script. Memorize it. You're conductor Jim. Go. Kind of a thing. And he went through it, and he started to work, and he thought, boy, there are so many opportunities for me to punch this kind of boring script up and do a few little jokes, a couple little insults, some things here and there, making fun of the emus or whatever, right? Just something. He's got kind of a fun sense of humor. Da-da-da-da-da-da. He's one of these old vaudeville type guys, right? And he went to them, and he said, is it okay if I, take some liberties? And this was their latitude. They said, yeah, just get the script down first. And then you can do your own shtick. Just let us vet it first. Let us see what we'll kind of scrub through it a little bit and make sure that it's appropriate for this family-themed park owned by a beer company. They don't even they call them adult beverages. They don't even use the word beer in the park, and it's Busch Gardens. Where do they grow the beer? It's like all the adults in the world are coming there to get the script down, add your own shtick. That's what they told him to do. So within a couple of weeks, this conductor Jim is so popular with park guests. They are packing his train to hear his little jokes, to hear his funny little songs as he mimics things and mocks stuff. And there's, of course, like an alternating train like Conductor Phil. And this poor guy, nobody, everyone's waiting in line. And, he's pulling that whistle. Like, just divert your gaze, kids. Do not lock eyes, whatever. Look away. They're like, no, go ahead. We're waiting for Conductor Jim's train. Well, at the park, they have employee commendations from park guests. So if a park guest feels like they've had just an amazing experience at Busch Gardens, as with many places of work, you can go and you can ask the manager, I'd like to write up one of your people. I'd like to see that they get some sort of recognition for what they've done. Each of those commendations is worth an extra $10. It's just a token of appreciation in the employee's paycheck. My father received 45 of them in his first month. So a little extra $450 on a limited income was pretty cool for him. But the thing that I love about this is that it's latitude from management to say, we hired you, we've given you a set of parameters, but we trust your innate instincts to make this job your own. With a little bit of supervision and a little bit of edit here and there, we want you to bring your best. We don't want you to leave it at home. We don't want you to just give us your best or give your best to your civic associations or to your church group or calling. We want you to bring it to work. And that's really full engagement of an employee. They're bringing their ideas, they're bringing their energy, their passion. So that's what they allowed him to do. That's latitude. And then, of course, for my father, that's his attitude. He's bringing the humor. And by the way, that's not my dad. I don't know who that is. That's just a picture. I just Googled happy old engineer guy. But I thought he looked more sympathetic than my actual father, who looks something like this. There he is. There's the real conductor, Jim. He spent a little too long at the Busch Tap himself, I think. Not a Uton, if you will. He's got the tattoos, he's actually got a little white ponytail. And he talks like this, so his jokes had like an extra layer of like humor because they sounded funny too. But totally true story, just lied about the guy's face. But anyway, so you can trust me. Believe me, everything will be fine. It pays to lighten up, not only for Conductor Jim, but for his employer. So when levity is done right, which we continue to define here, it should be profitable, if you will, in different ways for both parties. Not just for you. It's not just you doing your thing at whatever expense. It's you doing your thing, and it's helping the company. It's driving a cause. It's aligned with your objectives, whatever those may be. So levity equals latitude. All right, must keep moving. Attitude is the next one. Anybody know who that is? It's Herbie K, but who is he? Do you know who that is? Herb Kelleher. Who said that over there? Nice work, young man. And what does Herb Kelleher do? Southwest Airlines, founder of Southwest Airlines. Let's see if I can get, this is Garrett the Carrot, by the way. The department I work at O.C. Tanner is called the Carrot Culture Group. We've written these books about carrots, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But what's your name? Brian. Brian, beautiful. Look at the throw. Gosh, I'm good. Man. Yeah, so Herb Kelleher starts Southwest Airlines. Any of you ever flown Southwest? It's been around most of your lives, I would think. It's been around 30, 31 years, so most of you have probably grown up with Southwest Airlines. And you may or may not like it. It just depends on if you want your own assigned seat and things like that, or do you want to wait in line. But they really did fill a void back in the late 70s when they started. They really, really did. And it was low cost, low price. They started the whole discount fare thing. But they were built on fun. For those of you that remember, they really pushed fun early on. It's not so much anymore, but that's really the foundation of who they are, is fun. The people wearing culottes and shorts, the pilots having fun with the people, the FCC or the FAA regulations, they get through the whole thing. Tray tables in locked up position, will take down the front, they get through all of that, right? But they also have fun with it. They joke with the people. We're sorry we're taking off a little late today. The automatic bag smasher is down. We've had to do it by hand. They're kind of messing with people. I heard once one of them say, it was one of the flight attendants, ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing. We've just discovered that we have a centenarian on the board today. Somebody just turned 100 years old today. So as you deplane today, please say congratulations and happy birthday to the pilot. As we, they're just kind of, messing around, just dumb jokes, a lot of it very corny, but they have fun with it. Now, let me ask you this. Is public aviation, would you consider that a serious industry? And why would you consider it a serious industry? People's lives, right? I mean, millions of people are 5 miles in the air above our country and all over the world every day. Totally serious, totally regulated, way policed, heavily all of those things, right? There's government, it's a big, big deal. And yet here is a company who's saying, okay, we can live with that, but we just want to be the people's airline. We just want to have fun and laugh. Our stock ticker symbol is LUV, love. We have hearts everywhere. We want to lighten things up. That's who we are. Now, Herb Kelleher, by the way, when he was looking to hire his people and build his leadership team around him, right? And this isn't just hiring the front-end staff, the desk agents and the baggage handlers. I'm talking about the senior team and others that are going to run different hubs. What did he look for as he was interviewing? Number 3, education. Huge, right? You've got to be qualified in that sense. You've got to have your education behind you. 2, experience and ability is enormous. Number 1, sense of humor. I forgive the you. I had to anglicize it. I was speaking in Britain recently and haven't changed the slide. But sense of humor, or maybe it was Canada, slightly less exotic, but still an international friend. Anybody from Canada? Oh, good. Let's make fun of them. Oh, sorry, 1. I'm kidding. No, where are you from up there? Calgary. Well, that's like northern Utah. Okay. Like cards, the border. Calgary, Alberta is actually a city. Yeah. See, I don't even know what they call them, right? It's city, state, province. It's a beautiful place, though. They got the Stampede. Okay. Herb Kelleher, and they have that huge mall. Oh, no, that's Edmonton. But Calgary is pretty. Welcome. Welcome to the United States. May your stay be pleasant. Can I borrow a loonie? Okay, but anyway, no, we have fun. My co-authors are actually one of them's from Alberta. All right, so moving on, the other's from Vancouver. We have no time for chit-chat. By the way, what's the connection between all of this and what I'm talking about? 30 straight years of profitability. Never had a single quarter in 30 straight years that they did not grow. Didn't have to turn to the feds for bailout after 9/11. They're not looking for handouts. Their company is fine. In fact, it wasn't just till recently that they finally had a downturn. But after 3 decades, you start to think, what's going on? Now, Herb himself, you can see the look on his face. You kind of see how he's dressed. It's not like he's wearing the lampshade at the party. He's not necessarily the quick wit, make you wet yourself with laughter, but he's got the look in his eye. It's just, he allows for fun. Quite often, a sense of humor is not just you telling all the jokes. It's that you get them, or you don't wrinkle your eyebrows or clench your jaws. Hey, this is serious. We don't laugh at that. I mean, come on, we lighten up a little. Here's a little trivia question for you. I will give a copy of the book for the person who gets this right. So who wants to, it's multiple choice, very easy, right over here. What's your name, sir? Darren? Derek, where are you from? Cedar City originally, nice. But SUU just wasn't your cup of tea?
Small town wasn't my cup of tea.
Small town, yeah, no. So you move up to Orem. Okay. It's true, there's like...
Bigger.
No, I agree, it is.
At least since it came out here.
I used to live here. I lived here a long time. I went to Mountain View High School when I was, in fact, so did Mr. Wright, or whatever we call him. It's just up the street. Here's your question, Derek. If I had no sense of humor, I would have long ago committed suicide.
Abe Lincoln.
Can I give you some choices first? Is it A, Barack Obama, B, Jim Carrey, C, Simon Cowell, D, Mahatma Gandhi, E, Dr. Norman Wright? Those are your choices.
I know Abe Lincoln said something like that, but I'm going to...
Abe Lincoln said something like that, did he?
He did.
That's cool.
That's why I was so eager.
Yeah. What do you think now? Not so eager.
Cowell's kind of a little ornery on TV.
Now, you could use a lifeline. You could ask the audience. You could phone a friend or whatever you have to do.
That's my Meredith Vieira impersonation. It's spot on. It really is.
Yeah.
So what are you leaning towards?
Carrie's too obvious.
Right. So maybe the one that's not obvious would be...
I'm going to say Gandhi.
He's going to go with Gandhi. Should we poll the audience?
How many of you think Gandhi? Now you're all going to say yeah. Yeah, congratulations. It is Mahatma Gandhi. Isn't that cool? How about a hand for Derek right there? Nice work. There's the book. Yeah, take it. Read it and weep, literally. Yeah, who would have expected that, though? You know what I mean? I love that. Here we have the ultimate pacifist, right? Someone that you wouldn't expect would not only not have a sense of humor, but admit to having a sense of humor. I mean, just generally as we know of him and read the stories and hear the lore. But I love that. Hey, if I had no sense of humor, I would have long ago committed suicide. Think of the things that he's seen and been through, and you realize that that sense of humor is useful to him. It's not just an added personality trait or benefit that draws people near him because he's doing shtick out there. You know what I mean? I mean, no. It's a sense of perspective. It's the ability to laugh in the face of, some of the things that I'm sure he must have gone through. And there's your Abe Lincoln right there, Derek. Way to, sort of precipitate. Precipitate? What is that, rain? I don't even know what I'm saying. Way to advance the discussion. Yeah, Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln, talk about a guy who saw a lot of sorrow and difficulty, who had pressure, who ultimately was assassinated. There was a story once about him. Some of his advisors, if you will, were coming to him and complaining that General Grant was drinking too much. They were saying, this General Grant is a lush. I mean, he's a boozer. He drinks it up on the field. He's got this scotch out there that he's constantly got a flask. I mean, they're complaining. They're coming and telling, basically. Mr. President, your top general is a drunken pig. And Abraham Lincoln, to the effect that these are his basic words, he said, really? Will you find out what brand of scotch it is and send a case of it to all of our troops? He's winning us the war. I love that. I love the fact that he's like, oh, you're going to come and tell on a guy? Well, here's the deal. Blah. You know what I mean? Yeah, all right, so what, is there codes and policies? We can't have a drink now and then? I'm not talking from person. I'm saying this is Abraham Lincoln. I'm channeling Abraham Lincoln. And if you don't believe that he had a sense of humor, if you have a $5, all of you have seen National Treasure, you know, the Eye and the Pyramid and the Masons and all the secret codes, etc. Abe Lincoln, I don't think was a Mason, but he also very much, so if you look closely at the portrait of Abe Lincoln on a 5, there's some really cool stuff there. I mean, it's subtle, but I think it helps to illustrate his sense of humor. You have to really look carefully. He just really, okay. I think it was the setup where I lost you. All right, so it pays to lighten up, good. By the way, when we say it pays to lighten up, this was kind of fun. I published this in the book as well from Harvard Business Review. They found that there was a link between a sense of humor and a faster and higher climb up the corporate ladder, higher pay. Literally, that people that are perceived to have a higher sense of humor by their peers end up going further and making more. Now, there's no right or wrong answer, but I ask rhetorically, why do you think that is? You know, why would someone who is esteemed to have a sense of humor, why is he or she making more money or getting further? You know, I mean, think that through. Because I often wonder why that is. And for me personally, it's, well, it's a sign of intelligence if they're able to do that. B, people generally like to be around them more. They bring a little more perspective to difficult situations. They're more accessible. But again, no right or wrong answers, but go ahead and write those down. Those are right. I just love that stat. I just think that's cool. And by the way, you don't have to be funny to have a sense of humor. I mentioned that earlier. So those of you that embark on leadership careers or whatever, remember that levity is not so much about making the jokes as it is about allowing them, about having a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face, you know, and just having a sense of lightness and not so much the humor. I was trying to explain this on the Today Show. We were able to be on there with the launch of the book, and I was, unfortunately, I was accused of flirting with Jenna Wolfe, the interviewer on the Today Show, and I don't know where people get off thinking I'm flirting, but I have family calling from around the country. We saw you on the Today Show. Why were you flirting with Jenna Wolfe? And I'm like, how do you misinterpret this? But basically, I'll show you the little clip. You determine if it felt like flirting, if it's appropriate or not. I don't know. But I was trying to make this point that you don't have to be born with a sense of humor. Watch, just 10 seconds, real quick here.
The fact of the matter is most people aren't necessarily born with a, you know, your kind of sense of humor, very acute, and you're cute as well. I
You think I'm cute?
Well, aren't you? You're cute. Sure, you're cute.
Anyway.
I don't see it. I meant cute like a little puppy, you know, or my sister kind of a thing. And as far as I'm concerned, the only real, you know, measurement is my wife and her feelings on it, and she was fine. She had no problems. Totally understood. I was just messing. But anyway, it pays to, of course, act appropriately with women who aren't my wife and to lighten up. Okay, so life lessons is all I'm saying, is what you get there. 22 years of marriage between the three wives. But employees, let's give away a few more. No, just her. Just her. That's all we do. Let's do a quick rifle round here with somebody. Who wants to answer this first one? I'll give you a 5% sliding right or wrong, you know, on either side range sort of a thing. What's your name? Dan. Employees that score their boss's sense of, not this one, I don't like, this one's good, but 90% say that they're going to stay another year because their boss has a sense of humor. So those that, you know, if you're looking to retain people someday, give them some humor. Here's your question. Here it comes for Dan. Percent of bosses who think their jokes are really, really funny. With a 5% range, how many bosses do you think that their jokes are really, really funny? All of them. So you're going to go 100% with 5%? Nice. Hand for Dan right there. Good work, 96%. Follow-up question. Have I picked on you yet? What's your name?
Gisela.
Gisela?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Peru.
Perú, no me digas.
Sí le digo.
Pues vamos a hacerlo en español para que todos podamos entender. Okay. I don't even know what I said, but it sounded really Spanish. Okay. So Gisela, here's the follow-up question. Do you understand this question, right? Okay, here comes the next question. C. She says C. I believe that means no. I'll be moving on. Okay. Percent of employees who agree that their boss's jokes are really, really funny with a 5% sliding thingy. So 96% of the bosses say their jokes are funny. What percent of employees agree? And it's possible that in Peru, they don't have any senses of humor that I know of. So this could be a non. I don't.
I guess less than 50%.
She's going to say less than 50. Lower. Just pick a number lower than that.
30.
Lower.
10.
Lower.
None.
None. Well, that's probably not a very big sample, but 3%, you did get within the 5%. Congratulations, nice work. Okay, follow up to the follow-up. Let's go over there to blonde lady. And she looks. See, she knows she's blonde. I love that. Okay, what's your name? Susanna? Savannah. Oh, that's cute. Okay, Savannah, here's your follow-up question. Percent of employees who agree when their boss is conducting the survey. And then she goes back to the top. Yes, congratulations, Savannah. There you go. Nice. How about a hand for Savannah right there? She's doing exactly. Okay. So this is a little frightening, though. You know, what do you want me to say, boss? You know what I mean? I mean, there's that tension there of, do you think my jokes are really, really funny? Yes. I mean, you know, you're going to get 98%, right? But the fact is that humor matters, but being funny isn't necessarily what matters the most. I mean, it's a sense of fun. It's a sense of play. This was a 38,000 person sample taken from ERAC, which is enterpriserentacar.com. I love just pillaging people's statistics, but they got a sample that large. Understandably, it's a pretty narrow demographic, I'm sure. It's recruits, people that are going online to apply for a job at Enterprise. But they're asking them questions to sort of qualify them to see who they're working with. One of their questions is about fun at work, because at most Enterprise Rent-A-Car centers, I mean, that's one of their driving values. And that comes from corporate, from headquarters, is, hey, we want to have fun. Dress-up days on Halloween, parties every so often, having fun, not making fun, making fun of the clients, you know, that kind of fun. Good, wholesome, healthy, bottom line fun. But I love 38,000 of them, you know, 63% said they at least like an even balance. If we were to kind of skew this even more favorably, at least 94% of them say that at least some fun is okay. I mean, there are very few people that are just all the time, just keep it serious. This is not a laughing matter, this renting of automobiles to people. Okay, I mean, you know, so again, it matters. Having fun, and fun is defined in different ways. Google, of course, is legendary for all the things that they do that are part of their overall work experience. If they receive 50,000 applications a week, it's because people know that this is going on. And then also, of course, good pay, great benefits, the 80-20 rule I'm sure you've probably heard of, where you work 80% of the time, the other 20% you don't. Just have fun, just do what you want to do, but come to work, bring your dog to work day, play rock band, whatever, and the majority of the great ideas are generated in that 20% free time. I mean, it's interesting. There's that direct connection between, I can just loosen up and be myself. Hey, wait a minute, Moogle, what a great idea, you know, or whatever, I don't. Google Earth, I wonder when that one was created. Another company, big consulting firm, Bain & Company, they've got a bunch of fun things that they do. You can read about them later. Discovering your own sense of humor, this isn't so hard. 3 simple rules: exposure, inventory, and application. I learned this from a friend of mine in college who was now a Hollywood film director and had one of the funniest senses of humor I have ever been around. He was very, very quick, very bright. I said, what's your secret? He said, I basically just, whatever I hear that's funny, that makes me laugh, that I think would work well, I just file it away, and then I apply it later. But you've got to expose yourself to different types of humor, different types of fun. You know, open your mind a little bit. I don't want you to go beyond your own personal set of values or morals, but you know, if some people find a certain television show or book funny and everyone's buying it and it's a bestseller or it's the top in the ratings, go ahead and take a look at it. It may be funny and you didn't know that made you laugh, and maybe you find that interesting. Let me give you just a quick example of this. There's too much to tell in the time that we have, but up at Lagoon, my co-author Adrian and his son were up there one day a couple summers ago when Tony was 10. Tony's the son. They stop off at one of those little concession stands because Tony is starving. You know, I mean, he's a young man and he wants to eat, and he's a hearty, fat kid. Anyway, and you know, this is why, right? You eat too much of this, you're going to get fat. But he sees the picture there and he says to the 16-year-old kid, Sparky or whatever, "Set me up, my good man. I'm with a plate of that. Oh, I need that action right there. That's going to hit home so well." And of course, dutifully, Sparky serves him up this, right? You know, like actual photo, right? You know, this was the picture, this was the ad, this is what Tony got. But of course, 10 years old, he's hungry, it cost $11, right? That's 3 lawns he had to mow or whatever. So he dutifully eats these chips. As he's leaving the restaurant, and his father attests to this, Tony, walking out, looks at the kid behind the counter, points at this picture and says, "My compliments to the photographer." I love that. Little cheeky little brat, you know, it's like, oh, what a great line, you know. And I asked his dad, I said, did he come up with that on the spot? And he said, well, no. I mean, he heard that in a SpongeBob episode or Simpsons or whatever, right? But he knew when to apply it. His timing was just genius. And some things you can't teach, so don't worry about being the joke teller. But a lot of us can be if we just find things that are funny, we file them away, and then we know when to regurge them, basically. And sometimes the moment is past. Just let it go. You know, don't, oh, I was going to... And an hour later, it comes back, "My compliments to the," you know, or whatever. It's like, yeah, timing, Tony, timing. Yeah. But we all have a sense of humor, you know. And just because you don't think something's funny doesn't mean it isn't funny. It just isn't funny to you. I mean, and that's really the truth. Sense of humor is, and what's funny is really relative. It really is. I mean, there is some programmed limitations and some publicly defined definitions, I suppose, of what is allowable in terms of funny. But what really is funny, that's somebody's individual choice. What's funnier to you? Say it out loud. Friends or Seinfeld? And pay attention to the people that you think you know. Maybe you're answering differently. You never know. Just a fun little personality test. Both of these have been off the air for a decade. I probably need to update my slides. Okay, let's move on. Old Clouseau or new Clouseau? This is a tough one because, again, generationally, we don't have a real broad representation. But how many of you said new? Any of you? Do you know the movie we're talking about? Pink Panther, all that? Yeah, I'd say old, but that's just me. Here's a guy who's obviously pretty diverse in his talents. Dewey Finn, Nacho Libre, or Kung Fu Panda? There's a lot of nachos in this crowd, yeah. You have to watch that. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it 3 times in order to really, really like it. But then you'll watch it 30 times because of the lines that are in it. It's very funny. But anyway, yeah. So again, not everybody says the exact same thing. SpongeBob or Simpsons, right? Yeah, a little bit of both. Ellen or Rosie? Okay. Must move on. Must move on. Final piece of the puzzle is gratitude. This is where the carrot comes in. Carrots really matter. Doesn't matter the economy, doesn't matter where the recession is, doesn't matter globally. Recently, we went out with a big company called Towers Watson and did some validating research of some of the things that we'd already printed about how saying thank you and being grateful is a huge part of lightening up the workplace. In fact, it does more to drive overall satisfaction and employee engagement than anything else. We went to 13 different representative countries of working nations, if you will, industrialized nations. 10,000 participants, one big boring pile of data. This is essentially what we came up with. We wanted to find out what drives employee engagement, literally that measure of how much we're getting for what we're paying, and not just how satisfied you are, because I know people who are really satisfied going to work and playing on the internet all day. That's satisfying. They get paid for it, kind of a thing. But that's not their job. You know, they're supposed to be suing people or arresting criminals or something. So how does that happen? By the way, employee engagement, if you were to look at a play like this on the board, we could say that this is a company's strategy. This is their game plan. And really, each employee or each person on that field has to understand if they're an X or an O. Are they blocking? Are they tackling? Are they receiving? Are they whatever, looking scared? Whatever. They got to know their role and really execute it. I mean, that's what an engaged employee looks like. That's the face, right? They understand how they fit into the business's strategy. And they enjoy that role, and they bring their best to it every day. So what gets us there? What gets us to the holy grail of satisfaction, productivity, execution, etc., which is, you know, employee engagement, if you will? 3 top drivers from this study. The number one is a sense of opportunity and well-being. This is among the employees. They feel like you're taking care of them, that they have a chance to grow. When they get up in the morning, they're excited to come to work. This is really born of the relationship between the employee and his or her boss. A direct report, managerial kind of relationship, right? And of course, so is trust. Trust will always be in the top 3 or 4. It's critical. Trust for you, trust from you. You got to have trust if you want people's hearts and not just their bodies, if you will. Don't use that in a date situation. Okay, you can trust me with your heart. And, okay, but anyway, so pride in the corporate symbol. See, that's just awful. I don't even know where that came. Norm, it's his fault. He's a bad influence. All right, pride in the corporate symbol. You guys are led by a stud. Okay, pride in the corporate symbol. Proud. How proud are you, you know, when you see the place you work or whatever on a paycheck or the side of a van or on a FedEx package, when people ask you, where do you work? Literally, these are the top 3 things that motivate and drive and correlate with an engaged employee. What we wanted to know is how in the world do these things just show up? You know, do they just appear magically overnight? Do they just show up like Paris Hilton at any rave kind of a thing? Or is there something that's driving the drivers? And the number one statistical overall driver of the drivers of engagement is the mighty carrot, or appreciation and recognition. So for you guys going forward, you know, you can start this immediately. And I know many of you do. It's like preaching to the choir in many cases, right? You've got the converted who already understand. We say thank you. We say it a lot. We're appreciative for the big things, the little things. we find ways to thank people. For those of you that don't know what O.C. Tanner really does, if you've heard of O.C. Tanner, you probably think we just sell watches and jewelry or whatever. No, I haven't ever even been into the O.C. Tanner store before. I don't even know what that is. I couldn't tell you a carat from a carat from a carat. I mean, gold, diamond, I don't know any of that stuff. What we do is we teach companies and managers how to do what we've talked about today, how to lighten up, how to have more fun with your people, how to appreciate and recognize what they've done. Be frequent, be specific, be timely. No time to get into details and the nuts and bolts. But those are the top 3 characteristics of a manager or supervisor or leader, wherever you work now, even if it's just an hourly, holy cow, get me through college type job, you may be in a position to be a crew chief or a lead or whatever they call you. Start doing this. Thank, praise, and appreciate your people and watch what happens to the overall feeling among them. And that's considered a reward. Outside of compensation and benefits, there's this third reward called the work experience, or how I feel, basically, how I experience work. And that's a reward that comes from you. Here's one quick example, then we'll wrap up. This was an email that I sent to a guy in IT. I was down in Brazil doing some training down there, and my computer crashed. Luckily, I had a companion who had I had a coworker who had his machine, and we were able to finish the training. But when I got back, it was Labor Day weekend, just this last Labor Day. And I had to meet up with this guy, Chris, in the IT department over the weekend to try to save all of my files, to get a new machine, to get re-provisioned and all that jazz. And I sent him a thing. Haven't had a second to stop and thank you so dang much for coming out on Labor Day weekend and helping me get back on my feet. I had to jet out again early the next morning to get to my next client training session down in Houston. Thanks so much for your expertise and quick, efficient service. My wife was blown away. She thought it was so cool that you would be able and willing to do all of that on both a Saturday and Sunday. It's not the first time you've amazed us in the Carrots group with your abilities to help us recover from computer meltdowns. We love and respect your commitment to supporting us, and on a personal level, you're just a fantastic person to deal with. You're affable, pleasant, and have a good sense of humor. You make no assumptions or judgments about how things get broken or disabled. You're just a kind-hearted, nice guy, and I love that. O.C. Tanner and the IT department are lucky to have you. You're a lifesaver and a total stud. Something warm and appreciative in Navajo. Here, his wife is Navajo. Scott. But with just a simple, quick little email, I'm able to show appreciation and gratitude to this guy. And this is part of a strategy. Now, I would do this normally, but this is what O.C. Tanner expects from their leadership. That when something good, even small, but this isn't small, I mean 2 days over a holiday weekend, that it's recognized and appreciated. And in this case, he didn't get an award or money or anything. It was just a thank you. But I copied, and I made sure he noticed, I copied his boss and his boss's boss. And so what happened a couple hours later? Chris, thanks for your great customer service. I appreciate your commitment to help Scott out on Labor Day weekend. As always, you exceed our customer expectations. VP, Volkmar Nitz. He's German. He is the IT Nazi at O.C. Tanner. I mean, and yet even a German guy knows how to say, "Thank you, Bill," or whatever. I don't know how they... Maybe that's Dutch. I learned a little Dutch a few years ago. I don't remember any of it. And then there's this one. Chris, this really is service and attention above and beyond the call. Well done, thank you. David A. Peterson, President and CEO. I mean, now you've got these leaders piling on. How does Chris feel? I mean, he feels validated, thanked. He's still getting paid. He got overtime. Great. But he's got people who have his back. They thank him. They appreciate him. You recognize for reasons, not just for getting in on time or being nice or having your scarf match your coat or whatever. There's some stories here. We're a little bit out of time, so.